Have you ever had this happen? You grab your phone just to check one notification, and suddenly 20 minutes are gone. Or you drive all the way home, pull into your driveway, and realize you don't remember a single part of the trip. Or maybe you sit down to read a book or watch a show, and 5 pages or 5 scenes fly by, but your mind was somewhere else the whole time. Here's the crazy part. This isn't just distraction, it's your brain's default mode. And research shows it robs us of almost half our lives. That means half the moments with your family, half the fun times with friends, half the memories you could be making are simply gone because your attention wandered. And here's the kicker. Attention isn't just about focus. It shapes what you remember, how you feel, the decisions you make, and even who you become. Lose your attention, and you lose control of your life story. But what if you could flip that? What if you could train your brain to hold on to the moments that matter most, to stay sharp under stress, and to finally feel present instead of scattered? That's exactly what today's book reveals. Welcome to the Book Scoop, where we take the world's best books, scoop out the wisdom, and serve it up in a way you can use today. The book we're diving into is Peak Mind by Dr. Amishi P. She's a neuroscientist who has spent more than 25 years studying one of the most powerful forces in our lives: attention. Now, why does this book matter? Because attention isn't just about focus. It's the invisible filter that decides what you see, what you remember, and even how you feel in any given moment. If your attention is hijacked by worry, you feel stressed. If it's scattered, you feel foggy and unproductive. And if it's tuned in, you feel alive, present, and in control. Dr. Jha's central message is simple but profound. What you pay attention to is your life. The problem? Our attention is fragile, constantly drained by stress, technology, and our own wandering thoughts. The solution? It's trainable. And with the right mental exercises, just 12 minutes a day, you can protect it, strengthen it, and use it like a superpower. That's what we're about to unpack. So let's start. Lesson 1. Attention is your superpower. Imagine this. You're sitting in a crowded cafe. Dozens of conversations are buzzing around you. The espresso machine hisses, music plays softly in the background. Yet somehow, you're able to tune it all out and focus on the one person sitting across from you, telling you an important story. That ability to filter out the noise and spotlight what matters most is attention. And it's the foundation of everything we do. Dr. Jha calls attention the boss of the brain. Whatever you focus on becomes brighter, sharper, more real. It colors your emotions, shapes your memories, and guides your decisions. If you focus on a problem, it feels bigger. If you focus on gratitude, your whole outlook shifts. In other words, attention doesn't just observe your life, it creates your life. Here's a fascinating study she shares. Researchers showed people a video of basketball players passing balls. Viewers were told to count the passes from one team. Simple enough. But halfway through the game, a man in a full gorilla suit walked right across the court, waved, and then walked out. Most people never saw him. Why? Because their attention was locked on counting passes. At first, that sounds like a failure. But it's actually proof of how powerful attention is. When it's locked in, even a dancing gorilla becomes invisible. The takeaway here is huge. Your attention decides what's real for you in each moment. Focus on stress, and stress becomes your world. Focus on opportunity, and opportunity lights up. Attention is the lens through which your entire life is experienced. So here's your first practical action. Pause right now and ask yourself, what is my attention highlighting? And what is it shutting out? Just noticing where your mind is pointed is the very first step in regaining control. And here's the teaser. If attention is such a superpower, why do we so often feel like we've lost it? Why does it slip away the second we need it most? That's where lesson 2 comes in. Every superhero has kryptonite. Quick recap. Attention is not just about focus. It's the boss of your brain, the filter that makes certain things brighter while dimming others. What you pay attention to is what you actually live. And the first step to harnessing it is simply noticing where it is. Lesson 2. But there's kryptonite. Every superhero has a weakness. For Superman, it was kryptonite. For your attention, it's stress, threat, and negative mood. Think about a time when you were under pressure. Maybe it was right before a big presentation, or while juggling 10 different deadlines at work, or when an unexpected bill landed in your inbox. In those moments, did your focus sharpen, or did it fall apart? Science shows that stress doesn't make your attention stronger. It actually hijacks it. When the brain perceives a threat, whether it's a real emergency or just an email that spikes your anxiety, it yanks your attention away from what you want to focus on and locks it onto what feels urgent. It's the brain's survival instinct, but in everyday life, it leaves us scattered and overwhelmed. Dr. Jha calls this attentional hijacking. Here's an example from her research. A Marine captain, home from deployment, was driving across a bridge in Florida. It was a perfect sunny day, but his mind wasn't there. His attention was back in Iraq, replaying dangerous drives on dusty roads. His body was in the car, but his brain was in a war zone. That's the power of stress. It can drag attention into the past, or launch it into a feared future, completely disconnecting us from the present. And it's not just soldiers. It happens to all of us. Stress pulls us into rumination, replaying regrets, or into worry, imagining worst-case scenarios. The more stressed we are, the more our attention time travels, and the less present we are in our actual lives. Here's the trap. We think we can fight distraction with willpower. We tell ourselves, just focus harder. But research proves otherwise. You cannot simply will yourself to hold attention steady. Just like you can't walk into a gym, stare at the weights, and magically get stronger. You have to train. So here's your practical action for this lesson. Notice your stress triggers. The next time your attention gets yanked, whether by a buzzing phone, a spiraling worry, or a negative thought, pause and label it. Say to yourself, hijacked. That simple acknowledgement breaks the autopilot loop and puts you back in the driver's seat. And here's what's coming next. If stress is kryptonite, then mindfulness is the training that makes your attention bulletproof. In Lesson 3, we'll discover how just 12 minutes a day can become push-ups for your mind. Quick recap. Attention is fragile. Stress, threat, and negative moods hijacks it and drag it away from the present moment. You can't force your way back with willpower, but you can start by noticing when it happens. Awareness is the first step. Lesson 3. Push-ups for the mind. When you hear the word training, what comes to mind? Probably the gym. Lifting weights. Running laps. Doing push-ups until your arms burn. But here's the big idea. Your mind needs training just as much as your body does. And the most powerful exercise for your attention? Mindfulness. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is about sitting on a mountain chanting Om, let me stop you. Dr. Jha's research shows that mindfulness is not about becoming calm, spiritual, or perfectly zen. It's about one thing, learning to notice where your attention is and gently bringing it back when it wanders. Think of it like this. Imagine you're at the gym holding a heavy dumbbell. The goal isn't to keep it perfectly still forever. The goal is to lift it, lower it, and repeat. Each rep makes you stronger. Mindfulness works the same way. Every time your mind drifts off, and it will, you simply notice it and bring it back. That mental rep is the push-up for your brain. And here's the exciting part. The research shows you don't need hours of meditation. Just 12 minutes a day of practice is enough to protect your attention from stress and distraction. 12 minutes. That's less time than most of us spend scrolling through social media before breakfast. Dr. Jha tested this with soldiers, firefighters, athletes, and professionals under extreme pressure. And again, mindfulness training worked. People felt less scattered, made fewer mistakes, and were able to stay present even in high-stress situations. Here's a simple way to try today. Sit comfortably. Pick one thing to focus on, like your breath. Inhale, exhale. That's it. Your mind will wander, guaranteed. The moment you notice it's drifted, gently bring it back to the breath. No judgment, no frustration. Just rep after rep, like lifting mental weights. And here's the teaser. Once you start building strength with these push-ups for the mind, you can use that power in real life. In the next lesson, we'll see how to point your attention exactly where you need it, like shining a flashlight in a dark room. Quick recap. Mindfulness is mental training. Each time your mind wanders and you bring it back, you're doing a push-up for the brain. Just 12 minutes a day can protect and strengthen your attention, even under stress. Lesson 4. Find your focus. Think about the last time you tried to work on something important, but couldn't stop checking your phone. Or when you sat down to read and suddenly realized you were 3 pages in but hadn't absorbed a single word. Sound familiar? That's because in today's world, distractions are everywhere. And our attention, already fragile, gets pulled in 1,000 directions. But here's the thing, your attention has a built-in super tool. Dr. Jha calls it the flashlight. Picture yourself in a pitch-dark room. You turn on a flashlight, and suddenly, one small area becomes crystal clear, while everything else fades into the background. That's exactly how your brain works. Wherever you point the flashlight of your attention, things become sharper, brighter, more real. The problem? We don't always control where that flashlight points. Notifications, worries, random thoughts, they're like people constantly tapping your shoulder, trying to grab the beam for themselves. And once they succeed, the important stuff stays in the dark. Here's a story to bring it home. Imagine you're at a friend's wedding. You want to enjoy the moment, but your attention flashlight is stuck on work. You're replaying a tough meeting, writing imaginary emails in your head. The music plays, the couple dances, everyone's laughing. But your mind is somewhere else. Later, you realize you barely remember the celebration. Why? Because your attention never lit it up. So how do we regain control of this flashlight? By practicing where we aim it. Mindfulness training helps, but so does this simple exercise. The next time you're in a conversation, imagine pointing your inner flashlight at the other person's words, their tone, their expression. If your mind drifts, gently redirect it back. That one shift makes you a better listener, deepens your connection, and strengthens your focus. Here's the practical takeaway. Start treating your attention like a flashlight you can aim. When you catch it drifting, pause and ask, where's my beam right now? And where do I want it to be? And here's the teaser. If the flashlight is about zooming in, the next lesson is about staying in play. Keeping your attention steady in the here and now, even when life throws curveballs. Quick recap. Your attention works like a flashlight. Wherever you shine it, things become brighter and sharper. But distractions constantly pull the beam away. The key is noticing where it's pointed and intentionally guiding it back to what matters most. Lesson 5. Stay in play. Think about the last time you were playing a game, maybe basketball, tennis, or even a video game. When you're in the zone, you're not thinking about yesterday's mistakes or tomorrow's to-do list. You're just there, fully absorbed, reacting in the moment. That's what Dr. Jha calls staying in play. But here's the challenge. Most of us don't stay in the zone for long. Our minds wander, our attention time travels, and suddenly we're replaying a regret or fast-forwarding into a worry. It's like being in the middle of a game but mentally sitting on the sidelines. Dr. Jha's research shows that when stress rises, our attention loves to leave the present. Soldiers she studied often found their minds dragged back to traumatic memories or pulled forward into imagined dangers. But here's the good news. Mindfulness training helped them stay grounded in the here and now, so they could perform even under extreme pressure. You don't have to be in the military to know this matters. In everyday life, being present is what allows us to actually experience our moments. Think about reading a bedtime story to your child. You can either be half there, mind running on emails and chores, or fully there, laughing at the silly characters, noticing the sparkle in your child's eyes. Same activity, two completely different lives. So how do we stay in play? One tool is what Dr. Jha calls contact with the now. Pick and anchor your breath, the feeling of your feet on the ground, the sounds around you, and keep bringing your attention back whenever it drifts. Just like returning to the game after a timeout. Here's a simple practice you can try today. While walking, focus on the sensation of each step. Heel, toe, heel, toe. Your mind will wander guaranteed. But every time you catch it and return to your steps, you're strengthening your ability to stay in play. Practical takeaway. The present moment is your playing field. Every time you bring your attention back to it, you're training yourself to stay in the game instead of getting lost in mental time travel. And here's the teaser. Staying present is powerful, but what you pay attention to also shapes your memory. In the next lesson, we'll see how attention literally presses record on your life. Quick recap. Attention loves to time travel, especially under stress, but life only happens in the present. By practicing simple anchors like focusing on your breath or your steps, you can strengthen your ability to stay in play and actually live the moments that matter. Lesson 6. Press record. Think about the last amazing trip you took. Maybe it was a beach, vacation, a hike in the mountains, or a weekend getaway with friends. Now, what do you actually remember from it? A few highlights, a funny moment, maybe the food or the scenery, but huge parts of that trip, gone. That's because attention is like the record button on your brain. What you pay attention to is what gets stored as memory. What you ignore might as well have never happened. Here's an example. Have you ever scrolled through your phone while eating dinner, then later realized you barely remember the meal? You ate it, but your attention never pressed record. On the flip side, think about a meal where you savored each bite, laughed with friends, noticed the flavors and conversation. That memory is vivid because your attention lit it up. Dr. Jha explains that attention and memory are inseparable. Soldiers in her studies often struggled with traumatic memories because stress had hijacked their attention during events, imprinting those moments deeply. But the same system works for positive experiences too. When your attention is fully present, it records joy, gratitude, and connection just as vividly. Here's the everyday lesson. If you want to build richer memories, you need to point your attention deliberately at what you want to remember. Want to remember your child's recital? Put down the phone and actually watch with full focus. Want to remember that walk at sunset? Tune into the colors, the sounds, the feel of the air. That's what writes the experience into memory. Here's a simple practice. Next time you're with someone you care about, silently tell yourself, press record. Let that phrase be your cue to tune in fully to their face, their voice, their presence. Later, you'll be glad you did. Practical takeaway. Attention doesn't just shape your present, it shapes your past. By consciously pressing record, you create memories that last instead of blank spots you'll regret. And here's the teaser. Memories are powerful, but there's a hidden danger. The stories we tell ourselves about them. In the next lesson, we'll explore how to drop those biased stories so attention can bring true clarity. Quick recap. Attention is the brain's record button. Whatever you focus on is what becomes memory. If you want to build richer, more meaningful memories, practice deliberately pressing record by tuning in fully to the moments you want to keep. Lesson 7. Drop the story. Have you ever replayed a conversation in your head over and over? Maybe a coworker said something that rubbed you the wrong way. Hours later, you're still thinking about it, adding meaning, building a whole story around it. Why did they say that? What did they really mean? Maybe they don't respect me. Here's the catch. Most of the time, the story we're telling ourselves isn't accurate. It's just our brain filling in the gaps with bias. Dr. Jha explains that attention doesn't just spotlight reality. It also gets hijacked by the stories we attach to reality. These mental stories can twist our focus, pulling us into rumination, resentment, or self-doubt. Instead of paying attention to what's actually happening, we're caught up in an inner narrative that may not be true. Here's a simple example. You text a friend, and they don't reply right away. Your attention could simply note, message not answered yet. But the story begins, they must be upset with me. Did I do something wrong? Meanwhile, the truth might be as simple as, they're busy. But your attention is now locked on the story, not reality. So how do we break free? By dropping the story and returning to direct experience. This is where mindfulness practice shines. When you catch yourself spinning a tale in your head, pause and ask, what's actually here, right now? It might be the sound of your breath, the feel of your feet on the floor, or simply noticing that your friend hasn't replied yet. Here's your practical action. The next time you catch yourself spiraling into a story, say to yourself, drop it. What's true right now? This simple question pulls your attention out of biased thinking and back into clarity. And here's the teaser. Once you learn to drop the story, you unlock the ability to go even bigger, to step back and watch your own mind from a higher perspective. That's where real attentional power lies. Quick recap. Attention often gets hijacked by the stories we tell ourselves. Those stories distort reality and keep us stuck. By practicing drop the story, you free your attention to focus on what's actually happening, clear, present, and true. Lesson 8. Go big. Have you ever noticed how sometimes you catch yourself daydreaming about the fact that you're daydreaming? Or you realize halfway through scrolling your phone, wait a second, I've been on autopilot. That moment of noticing isn't just awareness, it's something Dr. Jha calls meta-awareness, the ability to step back and watch your own mind at work. Think of it like this. If your attention is usually the flashlight, meta-awareness is like climbing up to the balcony and looking down at where the flashlight is pointing. It gives you a wider view not just of the world around you, but of your own thoughts, emotions, and habits. Why does this matter? Because without meta-awareness, you're basically living blindfolded. Your attention gets hijacked, and you don't even realize it until much later, if at all. But with meta-awareness, you can catch yourself in the act. Oh, I'm worrying again. Oh, I'm replaying that argument. Just noticing gives you the power to redirect. Here's a great way to picture it. Imagine your mind is like a stage. Thoughts, emotions, and memories are the actors. Most of us are stuck in the play, swept up in the drama. Meta-awareness is like being the director, sitting in the audience, watching the play unfold. You see the actors come and go, but you don't have to get lost in the performance. And the research backs it up. People who practice mindfulness build stronger meta-awareness, which allows them to recognize distraction faster and recover attention more effectively. It's like having a built-in reset button for your focus. Here's a simple way to practice. Set a reminder on your phone once or twice a day that just says, "Where's your mind?" When it goes off, pause for a moment and check. Are you focused? Distracted? Daydreaming? That little check-in is meta-awareness training in action. Practical takeaway. Go big by stepping back. The more you practice watching your own attention, the more control you gain over it. And here's the teaser. Awareness isn't just about your inner world. In the next lesson, we'll see how sharpening your attention can transform the way you connect with other people. Quick recap. Meta-awareness is your ability to step back and notice where your attention is. Instead of being lost in the drama of your thoughts, you become the director watching the play. This higher-level awareness gives you the power to reset and refocus anytime. Lesson 9. Get connected. Think about the last time you had a conversation with someone, but your mind was somewhere else. Maybe you were nodding along while secretly checking your phone. Or maybe you were already planning what you were going to say instead of really listening. We've all done it. But here's the thing. When your attention drifts during interactions, people notice, they feel it, and the connection suffers. Dr. Jha explains that attention isn't just about productivity, it's the foundation of relationships. When you shine the flashlight of your attention fully on another person, you make them feel seen, heard, and valued. When your attention is fractured, even if your words are polite, the bond weakens. Here's a simple but powerful example. Imagine sitting across from a friend who's sharing something important. If you're truly present, eyes on them, Mind tuned in, they'll likely feel safe, understood, and cared for. But if your gaze flickers to your phone or your mind drifts, they'll sense that too. Same moment, two very different outcomes, all depending on attention. The good news is that attention can revolutionize the way we connect. Soldiers in Dr. Jha's programs reported that mindfulness training didn't just help them focus in high-stress missions. It also made them better partners, parents, and friends. By practicing presence, they deepened relationships at home as well as on the job. Here's a practice you can try today. The next time you talk to someone, pretend your attention flashlight is a spotlight on them. Notice their tone, their body language, the emotion behind their words. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. That tiny shift turns an ordinary conversation into a meaningful connection. Practical takeaway. Connection requires presence. By giving people your full attention, you strengthen relationships in ways that no amount of multitasking or half-listening ever could. And here's the teaser. Attention can deepen joy and connection, but to truly transform your mind, you need regular training. In the next lesson, we'll talk about the minimum dose of practice that can change everything. Quick recap. Attention is the heart of connection. When you give someone your full focus, you make them feel valued and deepen the bond. When you're distracted, the connection suffers. The key is to practice shining your flashlight of attention fully on the people who matter. Lesson 10. Feel the burn. When you start a new workout routine, the first few days are tough. Your muscles ache, you sweat more than you thought possible, and you wonder if it's even working. But if you stick with it, those small daily sessions add up. And soon you're stronger, faster, and healthier. Training your mind works the same way. Dr. Jha calls it finding the minimum required dose. Just like your body needs a certain amount of exercise to stay fit, your attention needs a certain amount of practice to stay sharp. So, how much is enough? The research is clear. 12 minutes a day. That's it. 12 focused minutes of mindfulness practice can protect your attention from the stress, distraction, and overwhelm of daily life. Here's why this matters. Most people think they need to meditate for an hour a day to see results. They try, it feels impossible, and they quit. But 12 minutes? That's doable. It's less time than most of us spend waiting in line at the coffee shop or scrolling social media before bed. And the benefits are huge. Soldiers under extreme pressure, students facing exams, doctors in high-stakes surgeries, all showed better focus and emotional control after sticking to this daily dose. They didn't eliminate stress, they trained their minds to meet stress with clarity. Here's your practical action. Pick a time each day, morning, lunch, or evening, and commit to 12 minutes of mindfulness. Use your breath, your body, or even sounds around you as an anchor. Set a timer, and when your mind drifts, and it will, bring it back. That's the burn. That's the training. Practical takeaway. Small daily doses of practice lead to big transformations. Just 12 minutes a day can build the mental fitness you need to stay present, connected, and resilient. And here's the final teaser. You now know attention is a superpower. You know it's kryptonite. You know how to train it and apply it. But how do we put it all together into a way of life? That's what we'll cover in the conclusion. Quick recap. Attention, like muscle, gets stronger with consistent training. The minimum required dose? Just 12 minutes a day. Stick with it, and you'll build the resilience and clarity to handle life's challenges with presence and focus. So, let's pause and scoop up the biggest lessons from Peak Mind. First, attention is your superpower. It shapes what you see, what you feel, what you remember basically. It shapes your entire life. Second, every superpower has kryptonite. Stress, threat, and negative moods hijack attention, pulling it away from the present moment. Third, you can train your attention just like you train your muscles. Mindfulness practice is like push-ups for the mind, and even 12 minutes a day makes a measurable difference. Fourth, your attention works like a flashlight. Wherever you shine, it becomes sharper, while everything else fades. The key is choosing where to aim it. Fifth, staying in play grounded in the present moment keeps you from getting lost in regrets or worries. Anchors like breath or movement help keep you here. Sixth, attention is your record button. Whatever you focus on is what gets stored in memory. No attention, no lasting memory. Seventh, beware of the stories. Your brain spins biased narratives that hijack focus. Drop the story, return to what's true right now. Eighth, go big with meta-awareness. Step back, notice where your attention is, and regain control anytime. Ninth, attention deepens connection. Give people your full focus, and your relationships will transform. And finally, consistency beats intensity. Just 12 minutes of daily practice is enough to strengthen your attention for life. Here's the bottom line. You may be missing half your life, but you don't have to. By training your attention, you can reclaim those lost moments, connect more deeply, perform better under stress, and build memories that truly last. So here's my challenge for you. Starting today, carve out 12 minutes. Just 12. Close your eyes, focus on your breath, and when your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Do that every day for 1 week. Notice how it changes your focus, your mood, and even your relationships. 12 minutes a day to reclaim half your life, that's a trade worth making. Thanks for joining us on The Book Scoop. If you found these ideas helpful, don't forget to like this video, drop a comment with your favorite takeaway, and subscribe so you never miss a scoop. If you want to dive deeper into Dr. Amishi Jha's work, I'll link Peak Mind in the description. It's absolutely worth reading in full. And if you enjoyed this, you'll love our Breakdown of Atomic Habits by James Clear, another powerful guide to rewiring your brain for success. Check it out next. Until then, remember, what you pay attention to is your life, so choose wisely.